moderator for this Cha Time, and I'm excited to welcome you all here today. I am an international program officer at the Siam Society under royal patronage, as well as a representative for SEACHA. And I am so excited that today's Cha Time will be with speaker Mr. Tashi Topden on how traditional ways of life in Bhutan help sustain the environment. And I am proud to also welcome a roundtable who will be participating in a roundtable discussion with us today. This includes Ms. Kanitha Kasino Ugo, the SEACHA Director of Thailand and the Managing Director of the Siam Society under royal patronage, Ms. Nicha Petratelok, Communications Officer of the Siam Society, and Ms. Tapduang Chan Bunidath, SEACHA Youth Alumnus, and one of our youth members. So thank you all so much for joining us here today. I'm sure you will find that this will be a very interesting discussion, and I hope you all participate. And I would love to invite Ms. Kanitha now to deliver their welcome remark before we get into the talk. Ms. Kanitha.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Good morning, everyone, speakers, moderators, and audience. I have to do my part as a traditional of SEACHA to welcome everyone. Actually, Amanda just introduced me to all of you. I just would like to welcome you to the Chat Time with SEACHA, our monthly online talk. I think that some of you already are fans of SEACHA, and you follow our Chat Time quite often, because I noticed some names that even friend of Tashi too in here. So if you would like to learn more about Chat Time and SEACHA and even Siam Society, you can follow our website, our Facebook and Instagram. Actually, both Siam Society and SEACHA, we do have YouTube channel too. You can follow on YouTube. You may know that, some of you may know that the Chat Time with SEACHA for this, the first half of this year, the theme is about from traditional to innovation, ASEAN wisdom in climate action. And we invite speakers from across Asia to speak on to match with the theme. Today is our 31st episode of Chat Time. The topic of how traditional ways of life in Bhutan help sustain in environmental. We are honored to have Mr. Tashi Topden, an expert in tourism from Bhutan, here today to speak on this subject. I hope that you will all enjoy Mr. Tashi's insights today and think critically. They can be applied in your own community too. Mr. Tashi will speak for about half an hour, and then we will have the roundtable response and discussion. I encourage all of you to engage with us actively, to ask questions, and to take part in the discussion. I hope we can all take this opportunity today to get to know each other and learn from each other across the background and culture. Thank you very much to you all in our audience for joining us today. And thanks to Mr. Sashi for being here. We are very excited to have you all. I would like now to invite Amanda back on stage. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Kun Ah, so much for delivering the welcome remark. And as Kun Ah said, without further ado, I would like to welcome Kun Tashi to speak. Kun Tashi, will you speak for us?
Thank you, Amanda and Kun Kanitha. Hello, everyone. Greetings from Bhutan. My name is Tashi Topden. I'm a tour leader and travel agent based in Thimphu, the capital city of Bhutan. I've been leading tours and treks for over 2 decades now, and I'm fortunate to have met many people seeking deeper appreciation of the values and culture of Bhutan. Well, to begin with, I'd like to thank SEACHA for giving me this opportunity to talk at this session of 31st Charter. I'm very privileged to be talking to you here. Thank you all for joining. Well, before I start, I'd like to share you my screen. Okay, I hope you can see my presentation, the slide. Sorry, I've been a little slow. Okay, as you know, today our topic is on how traditional ways of life in Bhutan help sustain the environment. So before I begin, let me show you the basic location of Bhutan. Okay, so here it is. Oops. Well, as you can see in the slide here to the left, Bhutan is a small landlocked mountainous country in the eastern Himalayas, sandwiched between the two major polluters, that's India in the south and China in the north. Bhutan has one of the formidable mountainous terrain in the world, ranging from 100 meters to 7,550 meters in the north. The climate varies substantially from one region to another due to the dramatic change of the altitude. So geographically, Bhutan can be divided into three major climatic zones. So the picture on your right-hand side, you can see in the north, we have the greater Himalayas, perpetually under snow throughout the year. And that's where we have over 770 high altitude glaciers. Oops. And about 2,500 high altitude lakes. And it has alpine climate. And the annual rainfall there is only about 400 millimeters. And in the central region, these are known as the inner Himalayas or the lesser Himalayas, which has a cool temperate climate with annual rainfall ranging of about 1,000 millimeters. So in the south, the southern region, that's where we border with India. It's known as southern
เหรอ
foothills.
เขาติดอินเดียเหรอ no ภูฐาน
And we, in the south, the southern foothills has a very, subtropical climate or tropical with high humidity and heavy rainfall ranging from 2,500 to 5,000 millimeters. Okay, so let me talk you on some of the Bhutanese beliefs. In the Bhutanese worldviews, which was received from the pre-Buddhist belief system and enforced by the Buddhism, which is teeming. We believe that world is teeming with many types of sentient beings and powerful invisible forces of nature, alongside with visible humans, animals, birds, and insects. A valley can have many territorial deities with different extent of domain and range of influence. High mountains are considered to be the abodes of mountain gods, just as the forest residents of forest deities, cliffs as citadels of cliff or rock spirits, and rivers and lakes as home of water spirits and so forth. Disturbance and pollution of these deities would result in death, disease, famine, or natural disaster. Most of the citadels and the residents of these deities are protected from exploitation by people. Thus, large stretches of Bhutan's natural landscapes were conserved in their pristine form. People are forbidden from extracting natural resources from some of these places. And in other cases, people are even restricted entry during certain periods. While many people fear them as relentless local overlords, They've also seen the deities as benevolent guardians who were tamed and put under oath by Guru Rinpoche in the 8th century to look after the local communities. Thus, people see them as protectors and also divine powers who maintain harmony and well-being in the area. This traditional belief and the respect for the natural world, along with the pro-environmental development philosophy of gross national happiness, GNH, propounded by our former king, ensured that Bhutan emerged in 21st century with an intact natural environment. So here in the picture, you can find on the left a young artist is he's drawing a land deities. If that's the valley somewhere in the west, looks like Punakha, and you can see high up on the top in the valleys near the river, near the river you can find water spirits, river spirits. So it's all dotted with the territorial deities. And on the right-hand side, you can see the local people performing a ritual, pre-Buddhist ritual. It's in the west district of Huangdi, which is known as Sha Loche, and it's considered as the important event in their district. It is performed only once after 3 years. And they believe the residents of, the guardian deities will, protect them from obstacles and misfortunes. So in the picture, you can see 2 shamans. They are in charge of the ritual proceedings. So I have more examples of, how the traditional beliefs or the bone rituals are still performed in every pocket of the country. In the East, perform this ritual to dispel evil forces and other misfortunes such as epidemics, unfavorable circumstances that would affect people, crops, and livestock. And here, that's another ritual in the East, which is known as Priyu ceremony. This is done to bring peace, harmony, and good harvest in the community. And in the central region, this particular ritual is known as Chokor ceremony or the Dharma Chakra, where more than 40 participants carry Kanjur. Kanjur is the 84,000 recorded teachings of Lord Buddha. And this is performed to bless the land seeking rain during the dry season. Then we have a village woman making timely offerings and respect to their local deities. And here, it's in the west, where old nun is making a sound offering. It's a small offering, aromatic wood and leaves from pine and juniper, resins, medicinal plants. So song is practiced in the daylight hours and offered, and it can be offered anywhere, mainly up on the top of the mountains or near the monasteries and the temples. And below there we have a monk who is preparing for the ritual ceremony, and he's making the ritual cakes. Ritual cakes are, each and every deities have their own ritual cakes, and I'm sure some of you have who have been to Bhutan has, found the ritual cakes on the altar of the monasteries and temples. Okay. Okay, so here I have this painting which is very popular, and beside this painting we also have this painting called Four Friends, Four Harmonious Friends. For me, such paintings have served as the reminders and richness, the richness of unity, selflessness, generosity, respect, compassion, care for the environment and natural nature, as well as friendship that has indeed transcended through time. So this painting, which is known as the Six Symbols of Longevity, this painting is found prominently, it features prominently in many homes and monasteries and also in the zongs. And as you can see, it represents, the six blessings of life, the clay blessings of stability, old man blessings of survival, tree blessings of growth, water blessings of nourishment, and crane or a bird blessings of freedom, and the deer blessings of peace and harmony. So, well, if we use contemporary ideology to read these profound contents, we somehow discover that our ancestors have already been enriched with an awareness of environmental protection very early in their history. From this painting, we must all inspire to cherish all life on the earth and sustain it in the harmonious state in order to maintain ecological balance. Only by taking this approach can the environment where humanity lives will be protected. Okay, so this is the end of my slide. Nonetheless, the Bhutan's fragile ecosystem is already facing a range of threats arising from climate change. Rapidly melting glaciers are magnifying the risks of glacial lake outbursts, floods, disrupting annual flow of water to the communities and hydro power generation. Increasingly, unpredictable rain is causing landslides and flash floods in some of the areas of the country, drying of water sources in others. Over the past years, Bhutan has also experienced rapid changes in average temperatures and increased risks of climate hazard, such as soil erosion, windstorm, hailstorm, drought, pest, and diseases in the fields. Well, agriculture is one of the most climate sensitive sectors in Bhutan. About 60% of Bhutan's population are farmers. When it comes to adaptation, it's become difficult for the farmers due to other many challenges. However, they are trying to adapt to our changing climate by diversification of crops, crop rotation, integrating livestock with crop production systems, agroforestry, drought-resistant crops, and some of the climate change mitigation strategies from the government are weather forecasting system to serve farmers and agriculture, landslide management and flood prevention, improve storage facilities to store agriculture products, installation of early warning system on river basin, disaster management strategy, etc. And to address the ongoing challenges, Bhutan finally launched its first adaptation plan, NAP, in 16 December last year, coinciding with the World Ozone Day with support from the Green Climate Change, Green Climate Fund and UNDP. The National Adaptation Plan identifies and integrates medium and long-term climate adaptation priorities into development planning to build the country resilience to impact of the climate change. Well, every Bhutanese believes climate change is real and human activity is the main reason that the climate is changing. The majority of the people feel that we are still able to avoid the worst effects of climate change, although it would need drastic changes soon in how we tackle it. Climate change is not a problem of the future. It is here and now, affecting every region of the world. Our Earth is dying. We need to take action against climate change before we ruin the world that we have been so blessed to have been born in. It's too late to simply wish for the Earth to save itself. We have to do something about it before the climate change becomes irreversible. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you so much, Tashi. That was lovely, and what a wonderful presentation. And I'm excited now to share a quick clip from our trip, our Siam Society, which is a founding member of SEACHA, both of which you can find out more about on our website. And the Siam Society has been lucky in the past to work with Tashi multiple times for study trips to Bhutan. And I'm very happy to share with you a quick clip so you can see some of Bhutan's natural beauty of the Siam Society trip to Bhutan last year in 2023. I hope you are all able to see the video well. And yes, I hope that you got to see a little bit combined with Tashi's talk of the very natural beauty of Bhutan that perhaps inspires such traditional commitment to the environment. And on that note, I would like to hand the conversation over to our roundtable members to provide their responses on Tashi's talk. And after that, we will transition into an open roundtable discussion in which any of you are welcome to ask questions to Tashi or to the roundtable members as well. So roundtable members, would one of you like to speak first?
I can start. So thank you very much for your presentation, Tashi. You have talked about the effect of climate change on the natural landscape of Bhutan. And I was wondering if you could elaborate more about the direct effect of climate change on tourism, and maybe perhaps if there is any example of how climate change affect the way that local people maybe practice their traditional belief or their traditional ceremonies.
Well, on the tourism part, we do have, effect from the climate change. For instance, every year the weather is become very unpredictable. The tourism season is divided into two, one in spring and one in during autumn. And especially in autumn, that's the best time where we don't have any rain. But now with climate change, we do have rain, and it's been some years, especially during the Thimphu festival, it's been raining, and with incessant rain, there are roadblocks which will hamper the schedule for the tourists, landslide, and also during the autumn and spring, it's a good time to trek here in Bhutan. And now we do have rain, even snow. We usually get snow in Bhutan during winter, but even during month of March, April, we do get snowfall. So these are all, affecting and causing a lot of disturbance for the tourists. And for the local communities, yeah, they are still going strong with their, the traditional beliefs. If you go to any villages, we have kind of rituals and festivals dedicated to the local deities. It can happen anytime, annually based or monthly or seasonally or daily wise. So people are still going strong with the belief and the ceremony and ritual.
Thank you so much, Kuntashi. Kunicha, do you have anything to follow up in response?
Just another question, just to reflect the theme of Shatam a little bit, I guess. The theme is from tradition to innovation, right? So I was just wondering whether is there any aspect in the Bhutanese community when, let's say, the technological advances or innovation, has there been any experience of combining technological advances with traditional belief, and whether can it be blended harmoniously, I guess. That was my question.
Oh, I think that's happening, yeah, because now with especially in the western part of the country, the farmers mostly use modern equipment, and using this, I think there's a blend. For instance, when they purchase the equipment, then there's a religious, rituals, ceremony involved in it, and yeah, I think they are coping up with the farmers with the modern technology, but I think they are more into the traditional belief. For instance, one of the problem is the pest, that's damaging their crops, and they really, in a way, some they really don't want to use the chemicals or any types to get rid of the pest, but yeah, they are blending it slowly, and I think it's happening. Yeah.
Maybe Kun Thepdongchan can come in with some more questions.
I Kuntashi, I'm really impressed that you are representative tour company, travel agency company to discuss of this topic on traditional way of life in Bhutan related to the sustained environment. So you've been mentions about traditional culture of life. You've been mentions for effects for climate change. So I'm really keen to know that for you, what does this mean to you to practice ecotourism, especially in Bhutan?
Well, Thank you for your question. I think this is very important, question. Bhutan has this unique tourism policy that focuses on sustainable and responsible tourism. And the tourism in Bhutan started in 1974, and we have this policy which was implemented, the high value and low impact tourism philosophy, which aims to limit the numbers of tourists to preserve the country's culture and environment. The tourism industry in Bhutan is founded on the principality of sustainability, meaning that the tourism must be environmentally and ecologically friendly, socially and culturally accepted, and economically viable. Yeah, I mean, I'm very much into this sustainable tourism. I hope, Aaron, I hope this answers your question.
Yes, wow. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. I heard that you mentioned once about sustainability to the policy. So I will ask you another question. I am from Luang Prabang, Laos, where we are was assigned to be an UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1995. And the traditional and cultures of the local people is related to the tourism as well as the developing the countries. So I really would like to know from your sales perspective, can you mention that an unique aspect of the Buddhism in Bhutan, what they lead to be value and how can it reflects onto policy? This will be a really good sample for us to implement in our country as well.
Okay, yeah. Kunaran, is that another question for me?
Yes, it is. I would like to know how you can elaborate and unique Buddhism in Bhutan that can be implemented to be an policy. Yep.
Well, I think it's very important, firstly, for the people, for the people to know the importance of the culture, tradition that you have in the country. I think firstly, the people should really appreciate it. And secondly, I think it's mainly the government, they should put this in the policy. So both the people and the government should come up with this kind of a policy where you can, adopt in your tourism policy.
So can you give a bit of the example that cultural have and policy in your country's perspective?
Well, for instance, we have the Tourism Act now, and we also have the Department of Tourism, a government body who regulates, who makes all the rules and regulation. And I think the only example is, it can, really based on the policies and the act that, the tourism department in Laos and the, Laos government. Yeah. So for instance, since say now, we have the annual festivals, these are the times when many people come here. So, we do, I mean, it's not only done for the tourists, these festivals and other, celebrations. It's mainly for the local people. So, like I said, it's very important for the people to preserve this the traditional ways, and so with that, I'm sure you'll be able to attract more tourists. Really don't have to be something big or something modern. For instance, in Bhutan, we don't have so far we don't have many sort of big hotels. So I think keep it simple and small.
Thanks for sharing that. I really
But
love
anyway,
your discussion.
yeah,
Thanks for sharing.
when it comes to this, I'm sorry I may not have able to answer your question, but yeah, thank you.
Yes, that's fine. I'm being joined SEACHA as the alumni. So when I saw the topic that discussion about the Bhutan on sustainability tourism, it makes an awareness of me, because from my perceptions, and I think a lot of people as well, we know that Bhutan is really beautiful country. The weather is so good because you live in high altitudes. So now when you mentioned about the climate change affects the local livelihood, affect the cultural, as well as your work as a tourism. So we feel that is the climate change is worth. We have to do something. At least the sharing discussions will be the small point to starting from that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kun Taptuang Chan. I would like to now welcome Kun Kamitha to give her response as a roundtable.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Actually, I'm so glad that Topden and Tashi can share experience, because in my concern, I think that uh, uh, Luang Prabang and even any province in Bhutan, more or less the same, sometimes it's collector. And actually, I noticed that we do have our members who very experienced a lot about Bhutan. Even I assigned to be one of the moderators. I would like to invite some of our members who would like to share their experience. I noticed that Dr. Brian Shaw, who also one of our audience, I don't know that Dr. Shaw, would you like to be honored to be one of the person who share your experience, many experience in Bhutan with us? Dr. Shaw, may I ask you, please? Are you with us? Maybe not. Okay. Maybe who else that been to Bhutan before? You may notice many things happen there. Even me, I myself, I been to Bhutan for many times. I see many things that change. In case that if I would like to ask a question for all of you, I would like to ask Tashi that what is your most concern? Uh, 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 that what something changed quite fast. What is your top concern, and you think that if we try to stop that, it will help? Please. Seem like a Dr. Shaw, his microphone is not that good. Sorry.
So, Kunkanita, you mean about
The thing that happened in Bhutan
the
now,
climate change?
and other things too that might makes the its effects with climate change, or maybe effects with Bhutan in either way.
Well, when I talked about the traditional ways, it doesn't mean that Bhutan is, kind of, ascetic mountain kingdom, which is, laid back for many, as if it's in medieval period. Things are changing here. So I think what I feel is we are on the crossroad. Now many things are changing. For instance, the migration. Many years back we had problem of rural urban migration. Now we have migration of the young, the youth, young people leaving the country. We have the big exodus of Bhutanese youth, going to Australia, Middle East, and about 60% of our population is under 35 years old. Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely changing. And for a small country like Bhutan, I mean, it's not a good thing when we have a small population and there's a shortage of workers, even in the farms now. Like we mostly, especially in the East, we mostly have elderly people, very few, young people, in the farms, and we are having a lot of shortage with workers in the farm and even in the government. In the past, many civil servants, teachers, medical personnel such as nurses have resigned and left the country.
Okay, thank you. I noticed that some question come up on the chat. Amanda?
Yes, I was going to read them. Thank you so much to Chin Hak Lee and Mr. Brian Cha for sharing some questions in the chat. All of our roundtable members have shared, so I'd like to be clear that the roundtable discussion is now open to everyone. So I'm going to ask these questions out loud to Kuntashi, but after he answers them, anyone is free to speak up or keep sending questions in the chat for Kuntashi. So the question from Chin Hak Lee is, can you tell us a little bit about the Glefu Mindfulness City project and how this will help Bhutan's sustainable development? Kuntashi, do you have a response?
Well, I think this is I really don't know much because, about the Mindfulness City project in Gelfu, which is in fact, I think, happening. It's a vision of our present king, and I think as far as possible, they are going to adopt some of the thing with the gross national happiness. Well, I think it will work if we do face by face. Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to comment on this because, I have, little knowledge on this. Nora and, you know, yeah, I mean, sorry for,
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay, Kuntashi. I'm going to move on to Kun Brian's question then, okay? Kun Brian's question is, in Bhutan, of course, traditional life is changing. And one issue is what aspects to keep and treasure and which to set gently aside in the matter of change towards modernity. One issue may be the question of high values and low impact. From 2008, the gates were opened to neighboring India and many thousands of Indians entered and roamed. There were consequences, not all of which were positives, which still have to be addressed. So the search for quality tourism is a central issue. Do you have any responses to this? I think that building off of Kun Brian's point, Bhutan is quite well known for protecting its culture, and part of that has to do with its relationship to tourism. And yes, it seems that Kun Brian and many of us are curious about how you see that changing with changing outside relationships to other countries.
Well, I also see this problem now. We are portrayed as the high value, low impact or low volume. We stick to this policy. But now, since 2008, and after Bhutan becoming a democratically, form of a government, some of the policies, for instance, last year the government has, when they came out with the Tourism Act, there's so many changes, and for me, I'm really concerned. We have this huge numbers, exodus of Indian tourists visiting Bhutan. And, in a way, I feel because Indian, and the regional, some of the regional countries, they don't need visa, or they do not have to pay the government social development fund, SDF. They do have to pay, but it's much very less. They pay only about Indian rupee 1,200 for international travelers. They have to pay. Now it's come to $100 USD. So yeah, I'm really concerned. For instance, just last spring, in month of April, when I went with my group to Punakha and up to the Tiger Nest, it's flooded with Indian tourists, and I think it's not fair, International tourists being, they pay so much higher than Indian and the regional tourists, and they are causing a lot of disturbance, and they are not well-versed travelers, the Indians, they are all over the, in the courtyards of the Zong, making noise. At the Tiger Nest Monastery, it's crowded. So yeah, that's very concerning for me. Yeah. So I feel that's not going to the policy of high value or low impact or volume. I think now I feel that the government is going more into the numbers, or they're going to, I think, measure in numbers, because the present government wants to bring 300,000 tourists this year, which is very large. In the past, we have in a way controlled, not by numbers, but.
Thank you very much, Kun Tashi. There seems to be another question from Mr. Brian that I will read as well. So another issue is that Bhutan has few sources of income, especially non-Indian currency. Tourism income from 1974 indeed well replaced the income from the sale of postage stamps. Yet COVID damaged Bhutan's economy as it did so many other countries. So one issue, or really a set of issues, is related to balancing the need for foreign income with reflective tourism and avoidance of damage to the environment. What to do? Kuntashi?
Well, I think it's very important for the government to come up with the proper policies and changes in the tourism sector. I think letting more Indian tourists doesn't mean more money, firstly, to the government, and secondly, the spending power for the Indian tourists is much less. I think I'm little, if Kun Brian Shah could, kind of, I mean, the second question is like a bit difficult for me to answer. If he can, make it a little short, or precise.
I think it's a question, it seems to me, of how do you balance the need for money from tourism with the effects that tourism will have on the environment. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I think both are important, but I think Bhutan is not ready to open for the mass tourism. Because Bhutan, as will be it's one of the most sensitive region in the Himalayas where climate change could be really effective. I mean, the impact would be very much more here in Bhutan. So I think we are not, for me, we are not ready for the, in money, financial wise, more is better. I think that's what everybody feels. I think for me, I feel at the moment we are not ready, for that mass tourism. So, for me, I will prioritize more in the environment.
Thank you. And then I'm just curious, building off of that, do you think that those are the Bhutan government's priorities as well, to prioritize environment over mass tourism?
Yes, yes. I think it's a government. When I talk about it, like Kun Aaron's reply, I think for me, I really consider that we are blessed with, to have this, the philosophy of gross national happiness, which was, founded or propounded by our former king. So based on that, I think, for me, I really respect this, and I feel we should when the rest of the world is changing, I think Bhutan should. I'm not saying Bhutan should change, but slowly and cautiously, And at the moment, I feel Bhutan, unlike some years, we seems to be moving fast, which I think is not really, it's quite concerning the pace that we are moving or going forward. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I am also going to ask Mr. Thomas left a question. It says, you touched on the very real problem of the younger generation looking for a different lifestyle and leaving the country. This is a major issue for many countries and may be the fastest change, overshadowing environmental problems. How is Bhutan addressing this?
I think so far it's our government has not been able to do anything. I mean, I think we just can't control the people living abroad, and well, it's quite difficult for me to understand. Yeah, I think it's happening, and I think the present government, it's a new government, and they are setting ways to bring them back. For instance, especially the ones who have been working in the government who left the country. I think they are. I think just recently the the present prime minister, has said that they have come up with a special office where they will, facilitate the Bhutanese who would like to come back.
Thank you very much. And Kun Brian has another question. It says, I wonder how the environmentally sensitive traditional ways of life of Bhutan can be articulated to better inform foreign visitors and encourage their increased sensitivities to the delicate balance of environment in Bhutan. So yes, how do you think that these traditional values can be communicated to foreign tourists? that protect the environment. So essentially the question is, when foreign visitors come to Bhutan, how do you communicate Bhutan's traditional wisdom and relationship to the environment to them best?
Well, I think nowadays people who visit Bhutan, apart from the regional tourists, I think many are, mind-like travelers who like to, who appreciate and the values of, different countries, and those who have come here, I mean, they could see some of the religious rituals or ceremony uh, in the villages or at homes, and they are really fascinated, and I think they really appreciate what Bhutan is, how Bhutan is preserving this, and I think in a way, I think this really makes them aware and also appreciate the the values or the environment here. So in the past, some of the groups which I have led, they always told me to and keep what we have, the richness of the culture or the environment. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I think I actually have a question that I want to follow up on this. Kuntashi, since you've led many tours of Bhutan and worked with many tourists in Bhutan, do you feel like you have been able to see people see things differently from learning about Bhutan's understanding of the environment yourself, especially since you have a background in ecotourism? Does that question make sense?
Well, I think, like I said, before, I think, yeah, many of the, I think, former clients whom I have dealt with or led, very concerned, and I think they are, you know, when it comes to, preservation, they are, it's very much, they have a lot of respect or support, and I think they really believe that, we should preserve all this.
Thank you very much, Kuntashi. And we have a few minutes left for questions. Does anyone else in the audience have a question they would like to ask? Or from the round table as well? Okay, well, I have one last question. If anyone else in the audience in that time has a question that they would like to share in the chat, please do. But Kuntashi, my last question for you is, I just saw that we got another question in the chat. It says, what I suggest is that instead of tourists being just bringers of foreign currency and material items, maybe they could be considered to be potential ambassadors of the Bhutanese social and communal strengths to take away positive notions about the delicate knife-edge balance of geography and life prospects. Foreign visitors could also be encouraged to make contributions of ideas, not merely take photos, etc. It's actually a comment and not a question, but it's a lovely comment. Thank you, Kun Ryan. And yes, the question I was going to ask is, another one. Do you have air pollution problems in Bhutan?
Anyway, I think let me answer Kun Brian Shaw's question. Yeah, in fact, tourism, is a major. I mean, it's a source of the major hard currency, foreign reserve for the in terms of dollar for government. And yeah, I strongly agree with him. Uh, having international tourists come here to have that rather than having it's not only in terms of money. We get so many ideas. Like for instance, during my career, after meeting so many people, what's been really amazing for me is that I got to learn so many things. Uh, especially about my own country. That, I think that's the biggest thing for me. Knowing my I really, for me, I can see the mountains here, forests here, but in the eyes of the tourists, this is something different. Not really like Khumbrand Shah, not mainly to take pictures or photos here. They, they shared so many things. What important things we should adopt. So, I've learned so much. That's why, I'm here in Bhutan. Unlike my friends who have already, you know, gone and residing in the West or in Australia. So yeah, I think that's a good question. Well, the other question is on the air pollution. Yeah, it's happening. Especially in spring. In winter we do get a lot of forest fire. It's a man-made, or it can be now. I think just last spring, in month of March, April, our skies are filled with smoke, and I believe it's the air pollution, the smoke coming from, India. And it stayed for months and months. The air quality in Thimphu was quite bad. Thimphu, Paro, in fact, all over the country. And now it's a monsoon season. It's raining here, not so much, but yeah, it's that's why I think we don't see much now the smoke. Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, climate change or whatever, it's happening more and more in Bhutan. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kuntashi. That kind of answers the question I was going to ask, which was about even though Bhutan has implemented a lot of ways to protect its environment, how is climate change still affecting it? So thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's a wonderful answer for that. I'm going to ask one last time if there are any last questions. Okay, assuming no one speaks up. Thank you. I'm going to close out this session because we're about at time. Thank you all so much for coming to Cha Time. Thank you especially to Kuntashi for giving such a wonderful talk, and everyone in our audience for bringing really engaging questions to this Cha Time. I'm so happy to have shared this with all of you, and it was wonderful learning so much from you, Kuntashi, and hearing your responses as well as from everyone in this group. So thank you very much to Kuntashi. Thank you very much to our roundtable, Kunkanita, Kundicha, and Kuntek Chan. I invite all of you in our audience to come to our future Cha Times, so you can keep up with our Cha Times on our website, which I've just sent in the chat, as well as our Facebook page and Instagram, which I'm also sending in the chat. So please follow SEACHA's page and keep an eye out for our next Cha Times. But for now, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to our roundtable, and most of all, thank you for Kuntashi for a wonderful talk. Thank you all so much for today. Bye-bye.